The Stormlight Archive takes place in a world called Roshar, a world ravaged by high storms and home to the powerful Stormlight, a sacred energy which can be stored in gems and provides some of the power of the high storm. This land is inhabited by several creatures, humans, a warmongering race, who are quick to anger and forget. Humans have been central to much of Roshar's history. A small, curious creature called Spren also inhabit the land. They appear to reflect strong emotion. Their intelligence is limited, but their charm is undeniable. The Parshendi, a proud race who inhabit many forms. These various forms have impact on their physical appearance and mental focus. The Parshendi culture is shrouded in mystery, but their recent contact with mankind will have drastic ramifications. Throughout its history, Roshar itself has been cursed with an endless cycle of destruction. This destruction is brought about by a series of prophesied wars called the Desolations. The Desolations occur when the Voidbringers make their return. Creatures of an unknown origin, Voidbringers serve the mighty Odium, a being of hatred and malice. Humanity has survived these conflicts by a hair's breadth, mostly due to their saviors, the Heralds. These 10 mythic beings took an oath to fight alongside mankind in every desolation. The Oath Pact acted as a blessing for humanity, but was most certainly a curse to the saviors. The Heralds are birthed back into the world, wielding the immensely powerful honor blades during each desolation to help save what humanity has managed to become between wars from utter destruction at the Voidbringers' hands. But the price they pay is great. After each war is complete, the Heralds are required to return home to damnation, living in endless hell, with their only hope of escape to be one of conflict and blood, fighting alongside humanity. Not even death could be a reprieve, for upon a Herald's defeat, they would simply be returned to damnation, to await yet another rebirth into war. During the last desolation to occur, one which many now believe to be the final desolation, humanity was abandoned. The Voidbringers were pushed back once again. Casualties on both sides were immense, including one of the Heralds. Telenel, known as the Herald of War, had been slain during the conflict and sent back to be reborn during the next desolation. For the 9 Heralds that remain after the bloodshed stopped, the price of saving humanity seemed to finally be too great. The Heralds abandoned their honor blades, forsaking the pact and humanity to whatever fate may come. It is not known as of yet what happened to these immortal beings after breaking the pact, but the intent is clear. They will no longer fight for mankind's survival. Humanity now possessed the 9 honor blades, as well as many more of the lesser Shardblades and Shardplate. The limited number of Shardblades are now highly coveted treasures of war. A single Shardbearer can be worth a small army. A soldier with a Shardblade and Shardplate is a force unlike any other on the battlefield today. Capable of extreme feats of speed and strength, able to cut through stone and flesh like they are one and the same. Shardbearers are now the dominant fighting force walking Roshar. In the thousands of years since the last desolation, humanity has followed its predictable tendencies. Infighting between meaningless nations has become commonplace. Squabbles over lines on a map and resources cause the death of countless thousands. Humanity's wars have even begun being waged against the Parshendi. The Parshendi war form has become all too familiar to mankind, as conflict with the Parshendi has become a unifier among human nations. Only recently has a delicate peace been reached between the races. While this piece can be seen as a move in the proper direction, the histories are not well remembered. The muddying of the past has allowed mankind to forget what was prophesied to come again. A failure that may spell the undoing for all who walk the splintered lands of Roshar. The air has begun to stir with tidings of doom. Those who watch for the signs have begun to see. The drums of war are sounding. Odium's hordes have awoken. A desolation is coming. Transition. So, as of recording this video, the Stormlight Archive is planned to be a 10-book series split into 2 arcs, which means there's still a lot to be discovered. We've only kind of just cracked the shell of this huge universe Brandon Sanderson is making. I still really wanted to do a lore deep dive up into this point for the Stormlight Archive because it is such a vast and expansive universe that we've been able to peek into. But there was an additional layer to that where I want these deep dives to be open to people who love and have read the series, but also people who are just curious. So I need to keep it a bit spoiler free. And those 2 factors come together to mean that this deep dive is not nearly as extensive as my last one, which is a little bit disappointing. But I promise I will be doing a full spoiler-filled Stormlight Archive lore deep dive once the first 5 books are done. I'll be getting into everything we know so far up until halfway through the series being over. And at the rate that Brandon Sanderson writes, that's not that far off. There's also going to be comments wondering why I don't cover the full Cosmere in this video, and that's because it's specifically a Stormlight Archive deep dive. As we get into the Stormlight Archive, if the Cosmere becomes super integral to understanding what is going on, I might have to actually expand on that. That's why there will be another Stormlight Archive deep dive that will be spoiler-filled for the full Cosmere. That's not to say there are not already Cosmere Easter eggs hidden throughout the Stormlight Archive. There absolutely is, but they aren't exactly integral to understanding the world's lore yet, at least contained within the Stormlight Archive itself. That being said, if you're one of the people, like me, who just like seeing these worlds talked about in as meaty, spoiler-filled way as possible, I'm going to go ahead and link to Captured in Words' Way of Kings summary video down below. I would link to my own, which I still will, it'll be below his, but his is demonstrably better than mine, with a lot more time, effort, and care to go over each and every aspect of the first book. It is spoiler filled, and if you want that, go ahead and check it out. I can't recommend it highly enough. Jay did an incredible job. There is also going to be a playlist linked at the end of this video and in a card right here where you can go ahead and look at all of my Stormlight Archive videos, some of which have aged pretty well, others not, and just go ahead and get your Way of Kings fill as much as you like. I did have a very hard time keeping this spoiler free, which makes me think that like in the future, a lot more of these lore deep dives aren't going to be kept that way. I do know a lot of people are still just getting into this series though and are curious, so I wanted to keep this just as vague and as about the setup as possible as of now. But when it comes to the Malazan deep dive that I'll be getting to in maybe a year, or the Mistborn one that'll be coming much sooner rather than later, or the Lightbringer one, those will probably be more spoiler filled. Anyway guys, like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace! I also real quickly want to record a huge thank you to David Fonte for letting me use his amazing Stormlight video within this one, as well as the renders of the swords. That was all him. I'm going to link to all of his stuff in the description down below because 1, he's obviously helping out the channel here big time, but 2, if you're a Stormlight fan, you need to check out this guy's work. Big thank you. I appreciate it immensely. So I know what you're thinking. Daniel, why are you in your kitchen pretending to cut carrots that went bad and you never got around to cooking? Well, it's because there's actually a criticism I have of the Stormlight Archive that came to me while recording that video. I never really noticed it before, but it was not noticeable once I really got into it. And that's that I need more history in the upcoming books. Those desolations happened thousands of years ago, and we know very little about the time between the desolation and now. And it's a little disconcerting. It hurt the deep dive, I feel like, a little bit. And I wanted to address it in this little bit of an aftermath here, because I find it to be very strange how in my Wheel of Time deep dive I was able to hit on Arthur Hawkwing's Empire, all these different ages, and in Stormlight, a series that seems to be struggling to be just as big has yet to give us anything in the thousands of years between then and now. Think of everything that's happened in the last 1,000 years alone with humanity. Interesting. That's really all. I'm gonna get back to pretending to cut carrots.